What's up? I'm Tyler.
And I'm Dakota.
And this is the Bourbon and Business Podcast,
where we interview successful businessmen and women to let you in on why success doesn't have a single formula to follow.
We also have a little bourbon tasting along the way, because why not?
Why not?
So guys, please enjoy this episode and let us know your thoughts at Bourbon and Business Podcast on Instagram.
Coming to you from the Bourbon and Business Studio here at the AC Hotel in Ridgeland, Mississippi. I'm Tyler.
And I'm Dakota.
And this is the Bourbon and Business Podcast. How you doing this afternoon, Dakota?
I'm great, Tyler. How are you?
I'm doing phenomenal. And you want to
look phenomenal.
Well, thank you. You do too.
You've been working out?
Yeah, a little bit.
Nice.
A little bit. So you want to tell our listeners about the AC Hotel?
I do. Today, we are at the AC Hotel in Ridgeland, Mississippi. This is the premier event space here in Ridgeland, Mississippi, in the Jackson Metro. I'd argue the state, maybe even the country. You should come check it out for yourself. They've got event spaces. They've got events. They've got a mahjong group that meets here. I love talking about that because it's a fun word to say. I have no idea how to play it. Tyler's going to teach me at some point, but he has not taught me yet. So until that day comes, I'm going to keep talking about it.
Well, I wouldn't even know how to spell it to Google it. So I
think it's like a double word with a hyphen in it.
Okay. Well,
But that's all I got. There's an M and a J. I know that.
I'll take your word for it. And you want to introduce our guest to us?
I do. Today we have special guest, Chad Phillips, President and CEO of the Oaks Resident. Chad, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. Appreciate it.
Glad to have you. And then what are we sipping on, Dakota?
A new riff on an old tradition. So it's called New Riff. It's a sour mash Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey.
So I like it. My first sip, I took a sip of it before we got on camera, and I wasn't sure about it. But now, like second sip, I really like it. It's lacking on the burn, so I'm assuming the proof's a little bit lower. Are we looking at 90 proof?
It's 100 proof.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, for 100 proof, that's very smooth then. So now that you say that,
Interesting, the proof impacts your rating.
Yeah, I mean, it's,
Smoothness is a factor that we look for.
Yeah. So I mean, it's pretty good. I'm about to go with a 8.0.
Okay.
So I like it. I would definitely purchase this bottle again. What did we pay for the bottle? Do you know?
Around $50.
Around $50. So for $50, great price point, good bourbon, can't go wrong with it. And if you want a bottle of it, you need to go check out our sponsor, Cheers Vineyard in Gluckstadt, Mississippi, and they can hook you up with a bottle of this or whatever you're looking for.
They'll hook you up.
Yeah. Well, Chad, we appreciate you coming on. We like to always start this, kind of give our listeners your background, where you're from, and then how you got to the point of becoming the president and CEO of the Oaks Resident.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me. The beautiful part about, being here and being of this community is that I'm originally from here, born and raised here in Madison, Mississippi. My family's owned businesses all throughout. We started in the log villages, Thomastown Furniture and Gifts on Highway 51. So
let's go.
Cypress Rings and Walkers. And at 6 years old, I was holding Beanie Baby signs on 51.
There you go.
For a leather sofa and a large screen TV. So
Hustling. I love it.
From there, just my family's always been entrepreneurial in spirit, and we always serve and take care of people. So I graduated from Madison Central in 2009, went on to play football at Ole Miss
Jags.
with my brother. And my oldest brother was a head cheerleader, older brother starting long snapper, and I was backup.
No way.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
How about that?
He married Revelette, so we bleed red and blue in our household.
I bet so.
So how does that work with your older brother being the starter? Were you like, man, I hope he messes up on this one? So.
No, it was kind of the opposite. I really hope he doesn't mess up. So I think but no, we had a wonderful time. From there, I had the opportunity to leave, go finish playing football at Mississippi College and got my nursing degree. And being from Madison, I met a wonderful, beautiful bride from New Orleans. And as a newlywed, New Orleans is great.
Yeah.
Then you start having kids and Madison's great. 12 years later, you have the opportunity to move back with your family. Take it. But while I was down in New Orleans, I was a ICU nurse for 12 years. During Hurricane Ida, we had Mississippi River running backwards, roof ripping off my hospital, and I'm taking care of COVID patients. So it was a challenging time, but it was a wonderful time to really give back and take care of people. So I like to say God put me on the earth to serve and take care of people, and still true to this day.
Well, tell our listeners a little bit about the Oaks Resident. So a lot of people I know have heard of it or heard that it's come in, but what exactly does the Oaks Residence do?
Sure. The Oaks Residence is a perfect embodiment of my wife and her 80-year-old real estate company, 24 offices, 800 agents. But you take a beautiful luxury residence and you mix that healthcare where you get to serve and take care of people and put it together. For me, it's my ministry. It's why God put me here. But at the same time, it's a business and has to make money. But for us, I don't measure my success in how many real estate properties I own, how many I manage, commercial or residential. I measure it in how many lives I get to affect every single day. My value is how much I can give back, and by giving more value than I take in compensation, it always comes back around, and God's had a hand in this whole situation. But the Oaks itself is just 15 beds, luxury assisted living. The easiest way to describe it is a sorority house full of the Golden Girls. They've gotten a little bit older and need a little extra help. Yeah. So if you put a beautiful mansion in Reunion or Lake Caroline, you'd never know that that's a assisted living facility. It's a home. It's a home for 15 beautiful people, and God's given us the ability to take care of them. So that's the Oaks. Outside of that, it's a way to have an impact. I call it a transcended lifestyle, where I'm not as focused on what happens here on this earth, but more on the next. So if I have the opportunity to help Mr. George, who's been a stubborn old man his whole life, 80, 81 years old, get a little bit closer to Jesus, and I get to see him in those pearly gates when I'm done, I had a little impact on it. It's all worth it.
Yeah. Well, that's phenomenal. And your passion and mission behind it, I think is a big thing too. Tell our listeners a little bit about, you went from working in healthcare and in a hospital. I'm sure it was very, of course, hospital is different than most corporate, but it's still corporate. You're working for a large hospital, to now that you go out and you start your own business. What was that like, going from doing the healthcare daily to now I'm running a business?
Right. Yeah. For my family, I've always had that entrepreneurial spirit, and that's what it really takes, that one milestone, that foundation to build off of. I've always loved serving and taking care of people. Gave me that ability in the hospital. But at the same time, God also said, I have something bigger for you. I have a plan, and I want you to have an impact greater than you even imagine. I had no idea, 5 years ago, that I was going to help lead this organization into doing something for the first time and the only time here in Mississippi. It's something that just doesn't exist. So to transition from the healthcare to, being a business leader, luckily my wife's a lot smarter than I am, and she was a vice president of a very large corporation. So she's got the business side and I have the care side.
And tell our listeners, because, I think a lot of times, unfortunately, our elderly get forgotten. And, we have all these developments that come for, quality of life, but a lot of times it's built for younger people. If we're being honest, hey, we're trying to bring them back into the city and do things like this. What emphasis are you seeing now? Because for the elderly, things like this being built, are there many things coming? Or is it more, hey, they're harder to find?
Right. No, we're on the cusp. So right now, 10,000 people in the U.S. are turning 65 every single day. We're currently 1 million beds short in senior healthcare assisted living. And right now, we're only able to produce 20,000 beds a year. There is a massive gap between supply and demand. We're on the tail end of the silent generation that are currently utilizing assisted living, memory care, these nursing homes. And we're about to bridge into the baby boomer generation. And when that happens, we don't have enough beds to take care of these people. So it's just now getting on the forefront for some of these developers who's been in these large developments for apartment buildings or complexes or commercial spaces. Like, hey, this is a market that needs to be tapped into because the demographics are there. And this particular model is very special and unique. And that's what brought me to it. So
how hard is it to get into this?
Really, you just have to have the drive and the passion to take care of people. The numbers are there, but honestly, if you love taking care of people and you want to not just make dollars, but make an impact, that's what you need to have to be able to get into this industry. Mississippi has its, the Mississippi State Health Department has, a checklist of things you need to be able to do it. But honestly, it's not that challenging if you have the right heart and you have the drive and the determination. For me, it took 4 years up to this point in order to be able to open the doors for the Oaks. And that was just making sure there was the right location and the right demographic. For example, Gluckstadt, like you talked earlier, they've done an amazing job of growing their commercial. They've had a lot of residents come in. They really like the quality of life. But when I went to the city of Gluckstadt and said, hey, let's not forget about our seniors. Right now we don't have anything for our seniors in the city, inside the city limits. And they're like, you're right. It's like, let me help a little bit with my 15 beds to help, and they welcomed me with open arms. So it was wonderful to see.
Yeah, well, that's a great thing too, because I think, like, a lot of times it does get forgotten, but it's
Mm.
something that doesn't need to, because
Correct.
those are people that we need to honor, especially as they get older in life.
Mm-hmm.
I love the aspect of like the small town feel of it. Like,
Mhm.
you actually going to the local city government and like actually talking to them
Yeah.
about like, hey, this is why I'm here. This
Mhm.
is my mission on this earth. This is what I was built for. This is
Mhm.
what I want to do. This is my vision. And then the local government actually supporting you in that role
Mhm.
and helping to change lives. I
That's
think
it.
that's fantastic. And
Yeah.
I think if everywhere could copy that same form, then I think we'd all be able at least a little bit better.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
What would you tell someone, maybe they're listening to it and they're in their 20s, 30s, and they're like, "Hey, I haven't really thought about that stage of life." How does somebody prepare to
Mhm.
get to the point to say, "Hey, when I do get to the age that, I would like to move into a
Mhm.
nicer assisted living facility." What type of steps do they need to take to make that happen?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. So one thing is I've learned from the generations that came before you. Our grandmothers, our mothers and fathers, we get to see them age and what the challenges that they get to go through. Learn from it. Learn that, not every, large box facility is a place where I want to be.
Right.
You just have to create your life list. Life list is for many, many reasons. What do you want to do with your career? What do you want to do? What values do you want to instill in your children? What kind of success do you want? And then how do you want to end your life? Do you want to give back a lot more, XYZ? So you started from a very early process of, in order to reach this goal, I have to take these steps now to get there.
They call it like reverse goaling, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very true. So when you create that life list, you get to take steps back and say, what habits do I need to create in order to reach that goal?
Right.
So Atomic Habits is a wonderful book in order to help get you there. But no, the simple answer is look at what it's cost. Like, look at the Oaks or St. Catharines or the Blake or whatever it is. If this is the goal of where I want to be, what is the cost to get there? Add a lot of inflation to it and say, this is where we're going to have to be. But no, you take those steps early on. Our parents' generations, they had the opportunity to work for some companies that actually gave long-term care insurances, part of the pension and everything else. That's paying off tenfold right now. I'm telling you.
Yes.
We accept long-term care and it's wonderful. For our generation, that's not an option anymore. However, like whole life insurance policies, you can put a rider on there for long-term care. I talked to my guy the other day. I was like, hey, throw that rider in there. It's an extra $40 a year, but it'll pay off tens of thousands of dollars once it's time for you.
Well, and I think that's big things. And I think it's good for our listeners to hear because, a lot of people, you don't think about that, but until it's too late, unfortunately, planning for that stage of life early is essential. And I think a lot of times it gets missed.
Well, tell us about some technology at the Oaks. Adam tells me that there's lots of AI in all the rooms for all of the older people who are in there because they know how to use ChatGPT. They're going to be hacking people and stuff. Let's talk about how they're going to do that.
Sure. Yeah. No.
What kind of bot networks are they?
Yeah, the bot networks. Yeah, no, absolutely. The beautiful part about, all these places have been around for, 50, 30, 40, 50 years. They've served our community for so long and they're wonderful. But there is a curve that, Mississippi in itself hasn't had to adjust to. This concept exists and is wonderful in other parts of the country. However, this was the first time it's ever been in Mississippi. So with that, there's also all these technologies that Mississippi hasn't had to step their game up to either, like wearables. It's not just an Apple Watch. It's a watch that it's fall detection. It is your call button. So if you need water, it's literally just a press of the button. But it also tracks your heart rate, SpO2, how long you spend in the bathroom, geofence locator. So I know how long they spend in the room, their bathroom, the common area. If they go for a walk around the walking trail, I can see them. If they try to escape, which they're not going to because we're going to have a caregiver with them, I can see where they exit that geofence. But even better is the fact that heart rate, SpO2, that doesn't really matter to anybody that's listening unless you know what you're talking about. Because if you spend more time in the bathroom, I can guarantee you may have a UTI that's coming up. And that's going to cause all kind of issues. But if I can catch it early and treat it early, you're going to have a longer lifespan. So
those are called vitals.
Yeah. It's vitally important. Vitally important. But not just that, but we also have a technology that's going to be in the room that is fall prevention
Mm.
and detection.
Is this
Prevention.
the vest that blows up when you fall? Because that thing looks cool to me.
It does look
With
really
the
cool.
helmet.
Yeah, no, that would be awesome. No, we can.
See, it's like, no, we have actual products.
Yeah,
We have
products, right.
actual use cases here.
But the AI technology that I'm implementing, it's a device that scans the room, and if you have it on bed exit mode, so if someone's prone to falling, getting out of bed, if they start to get out of bed within 60 seconds, the caregivers in the home are notified, hey, Mr. George getting out of bed, he's prone to fall, let's go check on him. And the beautiful part about that is the state of Mississippi says that you can have one caregiver to every 15 residents, which is
That's
not
a lot,
appropriate in
yeah.
my opinion. But we're going to have at the Oaks one caregiver every 5.
Wow.
So when we get that notification that Mr. George is getting up, I can actually get to you in a timely manner because I have that setting on. Like if he exits the bed, I want someone walking with him. Or if Miss Martha doesn't have a problem falling when she's getting out of bed, if she gets up and then something happens, there's AI recognizes the fall. And within 60 seconds, there's a real life person that reviews to make sure it's an actual occurrence. And then within seconds, the caregiver staff is notified of it. So you don't have to worry about, hear the horror stories of, I have no idea how long dad may have been down for X, Y, and Z, and they found him. There will be no finding in the Oaks. There's an issue. We react immediately and we take care of the situation.
Well, that's very phenomenal. A lot of times we hear business owners come on here and talk about AI, and it's really, in my opinion, it's not doing anything, but it's refreshing to hear a business that's actually taking AI and solving a problem.
Careful
Right.
what you say, Tyler.
And it's,
AI will review this video.
I'm sure it will.
Yeah.
You need to be nicer.
It is refreshing to see a business that says, hey, this AI actually solves a problem.
Yeah.
And it actually is, you have a use for it.
Right.
And I think that is, an amazing thing, especially in the high stakes that you're talking about. Someone even, our age getting out of bed and falling, you don't want to do that. But especially when you get, older up into your 70s and 80s, that, a fall can be very drastic.
Yes.
Very detrimental to your health, for sure.
Yeah. Internal bleeding, external bleeding, all that kind of stuff. It can be life or death within seconds.
Yep. And the good part about the fall detection is if we see that they're using a chair that's unstable or lightweight and it moves, if they're trying to stand, we take the chair out, put a heavier chair there, put a grab bar there. Like, this is where they get out of bed. This is how we do it. We can prevent the falls because we get to see what caused it or potentially caused that fall and eliminate the issue. Because a lot of times you have no idea, they're just down.
Yeah.
What was the cause? I don't know. But we will be able to know.
Yes, that's fantastic. Is there a way or an option, rather, I guess, for like family members to see those vitals, or is that strictly confidential information?
It's all confidential. It's housed in secure networks that are all backed by cybersecurity that I don't understand, but I know it exists and I need it. No, it will be the vitals and such, I'll be able to review them.
Right.
So if they ask me, hey, what happened overnight? Did he have any symptoms like A-flutter? Did you go from a normal rhythm to AFib? I can review and say, no, didn't. Yes, they just come to me.
Right. Good deal.
Well, I think it's a good time for a bourbon break.
Yeah, for
Dakota,
sure.
you want to give us your thoughts?
New riff. I thought it was very smooth. It is a high rye bourbon, and you can taste that. I think that's the unique taste that I'm tasting there. It doesn't taste quite like a traditional bourbon, but it's a new riff. It's got a decent punch to it. I actually changed my score the more I drank it. So I was at a 7.5 and I upped it to a 7.8.
7.8.
Yeah.
Yeah, it had the same effect on me. So very good. Go to Cheers Vineyard and get you a bottle of it. And back to the podcast. So tell our listeners, so a lot of people, think, hey, maybe you have grandparents or your parents and, haven't really thought about it and just say, hey, we'll just get them into a home whenever the time comes for that. Are there wait lists?
Because you know when that is.
Are there wait lists or what is that process like actually qualifying and being able to move into?
Sure. The best way to do it is have a conversation with your loved ones early. With their wishes, know what they want. Is this the type of facility? Is this the type of lifestyle? But then to your point, there are wait lists everywhere, unfortunately. Once again, that supply and demand issue is here and people don't recognize it. So if you call St. Catherine's or some of these other places, there's a wait list. For us, you have to start the process early. Like 3-6 months out to try to find the right location. And with us, we're a month and a half out from accepting residents. So now's the time to just start having the conversation. And honestly, like I said earlier, I want to provide more value than taking compensation. So if you ask me XYZ for mom, what are our options? It may not be the right fit for us. But I have made so many wonderful contacts all throughout our community that I know that, this lady over this group will be able to take you. This is what you qualify for, because there's so much information that people just don't know. You hear independent, you hear assisted, you hear skilled nursing, you hear memory care, like all these terminologies that you just don't understand. My goal is just to be a resource.
Well, and I think that's a huge thing, having a resource, somebody you can trust to talk to, because especially as people age, you don't want to just be sold something. You want to be able to rely on the information that you get and that it's the best information. So I think that that's a major thing. And there are a lot of seniors out there that may not have, the family that helps get them into the home and things like that. So I think that that is a great resource that y'all have there.
I mean, and you're talking about your parents here a lot of times, right?
Mhm.
Because the kids are the ones mainly, not every single time. There are exceptions, of course, but the kids are usually the ones who are going to be like, "Hey, I've got to take care of mom. I got to take care of dad. I got to find a spot for him. I got to do this. I got to do that. I got to do this. I got to do that." So having somewhere where you can put your parents, where you trust the people to actually take care of them, where you can sleep peacefully at night, knowing that they're being monitored, their vitals are being monitored 24/7, right? You know that, like, if something happens and they aspirate or something at night, or they stop breathing or something for some reason, like somebody's going to be there in seconds, to actually potentially save their life, to come back. That's a huge thing that would give me specifically like great peace of mind. Yeah, for sure. I mean, you're talking about your parents.
Well, we talked about all the technology that you have, all the things. What are some of the fun things that y'all have going on out there?
How is technology not fun?
Well,
You and this AI, dude, y'all are not going to get along with it.
Yeah. Well, the fun part about me and being, from the community and, I'm the developer, I'm the owner, I'm the operator, I'm the nurse that's there during the day is I want this to be a home that I want to hang out in,
Right.
because I'm going to be there 8 to 12 hours every single day. That's my second home. I'm going to spend more time here than there. So we have walking trail. I've already got stocked with bluegill and flathead, and we're going to put bass in here in a little bit, let them grow. We're going to have, trust me, my goal.
What's the age requirement?
Yeah. You need help with activities of daily life. But my goal is this is a place that you get jealous that your mom or dad gets to live in. That it's not a place, you hear about. I don't want to go to one of those facilities. And you're right. I don't want to go to one of those. I want to go to the Oaks, to a home where I'm cared for, where I know that I'm not seen as a number, but I'm seen as an individual, and I have preferences. If I want to have a cup of coffee at 5 o'clock in the morning and then go back to bed and then wake up and have scrambled eggs at 11:30, 12 o'clock, we'll have a private chef that can do that for you. But the difference in a large 60, 100-bed facility in the Oaks is the quality of care that you receive. You get to be an individual. You get to have a say in how you're treated, and the owner's always in. I'd love for you to tell me if you've ever met the owner developer of some of these bigger box facilities and shaken their hand, or have they ever been the nurse to take care of you?
Well, and most of the time, their facilities a lot of times run from out of state. So you never even know who the owner is.
That's it.
It's a huge thing. Well, Chad, we appreciate you coming on today. We're going to land at a 7.9 for
do that.
AI
Makes
on
sense.
the new riff. Yeah, I got an earbud in here. Stuff. And then to all
y'all are tight. I knew it.
And to all our listeners, however you stream this podcast, if you would give us a rating and follow us on social media, and we'll see you next week.
Hope you guys enjoyed this episode.
If you have any feedback or would like to be featured, reach out to us at bourbonandbusinesspodcast@gmail.com.
Or find us on Instagram at Bourbon and Business Podcast.
Thanks again for listening.
Follow us for more content and info on the next episode.